Picture yourself on your final day. The sun is setting on your life, and you're looking back over all those years. What will you see? A life lived fully, with purpose and meaning. Or will you see a catalog of excuses, postponements, and roads not taken? The truth is, you're writing that story right now, this very moment. And if you're living each day as though you have endless tomorrows, I have news for you. You're wasting the only life you'll ever get. Good evening, and thank you for being here. I want to talk with you today about something that's been on my mind, something I believe is the greatest tragedy of our time. It's not war, though war is terrible. It's not poverty, though poverty is difficult. The greatest tragedy is this: millions of people are living lives of quiet desperation, going through the motions, waiting for something to happen, all the while wasting the only life they'll ever get. You see, we live in the most remarkable age in human history. We have opportunities our grandparents couldn't have imagined. We have access to knowledge, tools, and resources that would have seemed like magic just a generation ago. And yet, with all this abundance, most people will go to their graves with their music still inside them. Why? Because they're waiting. Waiting for the right time. Waiting for permission. Waiting until they feel ready, until the kids are grown, until they have more money, until conditions are perfect. But here's what I've learned in all my years of studying success and human achievement: the right time never comes. Perfect conditions don't exist. And while you're waiting, life is passing you by. Let me share something with you that changed my life, and I hope it changes yours. It's a simple truth, but one that most people never truly grasp. Your life is what your thoughts make it. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius said that nearly 2,000 years ago, and it's just as true today as it was then. Think about that for a moment. Your life, not your circumstances, not your luck, not what happened to you as a child, but your actual life, the one you're experiencing right now, is the direct result of your habitual thoughts. If you think you can't, you're right. If you think you're stuck, you are. If you think life is happening to you rather than through you, then you've made yourself a victim. And victims don't build extraordinary lives. But here's the magnificent truth: if your thoughts created your current life, then new thoughts can create a new life. You can change. You can grow. You can become the person you've always sensed you could be. But you have to start now, not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions improve, now. You know, I've studied successful people for decades, and I'll tell you something that might surprise you: they're not smarter than you. They don't have more hours in their day. They weren't dealt a better hand of cards. The only difference, the single distinguishing characteristic, is that they decided to stop waiting and start working toward a definite goal. That's it. That's the secret that self-help gurus charge thousands of dollars to reveal. Successful people have a goal, a purpose, something they're moving toward. And unsuccessful people, they're just drifting, going wherever the current takes them, like a ship without a rudder. Ask yourself right now, what am I working toward? What's my definite purpose? Where will I be 5 years from now if I keep doing exactly what I'm doing today? If you can't answer that question, if you don't have a clear picture of where you're going, then I'm afraid you're wasting your life. You're spending your days in activity without direction, motion without progress, business without meaning. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can change your life starting today by doing 3 simple things. First, decide what you want. Not what your parents want for you. Not what society expects. Not what looks impressive on social media. What do you want? What would make you jump out of bed in the morning excited to be alive? Write it down. Make it specific. Give yourself a target to aim at. Second, make a plan. You don't need to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. What's one thing you can do today that will move you toward your goal? Do that thing. Then tomorrow, do the next thing. Success is nothing more than the accumulation of small daily disciplines. Third, and this is crucial, guard your mind like a fortress. Your mind is the most valuable real estate in the world. What you allow in determines what comes out. Stop consuming garbage, gossip, negativity, mindless entertainment that numbs you to your own potential. Instead, feed your mind with ideas that elevate, books that challenge, and people who inspire. You see, the human mind is like a field. It will grow whatever you plant there, whether wheat or weeds. But here's the thing about a field: if you don't deliberately plant wheat, the weeds will grow automatically. They don't need your permission. They don't need your attention. They just grow. The same is true of your mind. If you're not deliberately planting thoughts of achievement, purpose, and growth, then fear, doubt, and mediocrity will grow there by default. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but you don't understand my situation. I have responsibilities. I have bills. I have people depending on me. I can't just chase my dreams. And you're right. I don't understand your specific situation, but I understand this: every successful person in history had obstacles. Every single one. They had bills, responsibilities, critics, and circumstances that seemed impossible. The difference is they refused to use those things as excuses. Thomas Edison was declared too stupid to learn anything by his teachers. Abraham Lincoln failed in business, lost elections, suffered depression. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. Colonel Sanders was 65 and broke when he started Kentucky Fried Chicken. Your circumstances don't define you. Your response to them does. Here's another truth that might sting a bit: you already know what you need to do. Deep down, in that quiet place where your authentic self lives, you know exactly what changes you need to make. You know what habits are holding you back. You know what dreams you've been ignoring. You know what conversations you need to have, what risks you need to take, what comfort zones you need to leave behind. The question isn't what to do. The question is, will you do it? Will you trade the comfortable prison of your current life for the uncomfortable freedom of pursuing your potential? Will you risk failure, criticism, and temporary discomfort for the chance to see what you're really capable of? I hope you will. Because here's what breaks my heart: I've seen too many people reach the end of their lives and realize they never really lived. They existed. They went through the motions. They did what was expected, but they never took the chance to see what they could become. Don't let that be you. You have approximately 30,000 days on this earth. If you live an average lifespan, how many have you already spent? How many are left? And of those remaining days, how many are you willing to waste drifting, waiting, and wishing? The clock is ticking, not to scare you, but to wake you up. To remind you that this moment, right now, is all you really have. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow isn't promised. All you have is now. So what will you do with it? Time is your most precious resource. You know, there's something we all carry with us every day, something we spend without thinking, waste without realizing, and lose without ever getting back. And the tragic thing is, most people don't recognize what they're throwing away until it's too late. Think about this for a moment right now. As you're hearing these words, seconds are slipping through your fingers like sand. You can't grab them. You can't hold them. You can't save them for later. They're simply gone. And they took a piece of your life with them. I'll be honest with you. When I really confronted this truth, it shook me to my core. Because unlike every other resource we have, time operates under completely different rules. If you lose money, you can earn it back. If you lose your health, you can work to recover it. If you lose an opportunity, another one will eventually come along. But time plays by its own ruthless laws. Now, you might be thinking, yes, I know time is important. I've heard this before. And perhaps you have. But knowing something intellectually and understanding it in your bones are two entirely different things. Most of us live as if we have endless tomorrows queued up, just waiting for us to get around to the things that matter. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you had a bank account and every morning $400 was deposited into it. But here's the catch: whatever you don't spend by midnight disappears. It doesn't roll over. It doesn't accumulate. It's simply erased, gone forever. What would you do? You'd spend every single dollar, wouldn't you? You'd make absolutely certain that not 1 cent went to waste. Well, friend, you do have such an account. It's called your day. Every morning, you're given 400 seconds. And every night, whatever you haven't invested in something meaningful, something purposeful, something that moves your life forward, it's simply lost. You can't carry it over. You can't save it up. It vanishes as if it never existed. Here's what I've discovered in my years of studying successful people and unsuccessful people alike. Successful individuals treat their time like the precious, non-renewable resource it is. They understand something profound that most people miss entirely. You're not really managing time at all. You're managing yourself within the time you've been given. The unsuccessful person, and I say this with compassion, not judgment, operates under a dangerous illusion. They believe they have enough time. They believe there's always tomorrow to start that business, to repair that relationship, to pursue that dream, to become the person they know they could be. But tomorrow is the most expensive word in the human language. It's where dreams go to die and potential goes to waste. Here's the liberating truth that changed everything for me. Once you truly accept that your time is limited, that your days are numbered, that this moment right now is all you really possess, everything becomes clearer. Your priorities sharpen. Your excuses evaporate. Your focus intensifies. You see, time isn't something you have. Time is what you air. Every tick of the clock is a piece of your life being spent. The only question worth asking is, am I spending it or am I investing it? Am I trading it for something of value, or am I letting it drain away in pursuits that don't matter, activities that don't fulfill me, and routines that don't serve my highest good? The beautiful part, and yes, there is a beautiful part to all of this, is that understanding this truth doesn't burden you, it frees you. When you realize that this day, this hour, this very moment is all you truly have, you stop postponing your life. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You stop trading your precious, irreplaceable time for things that don't align with who you want to become. You start living deliberately. You start making conscious choices about where your attention goes, who you spend time with, and what you're building with the moments you've been given. And that, my friend, is when your life truly begins. Most people sleepwalk through life. I want to share something with you that might be uncomfortable to hear, but I believe it needs to be said. If you look around at the people you see every day on the street, in offices, at gatherings, you'll notice something peculiar. Most of them aren't really there. Oh, their bodies are present, certainly. They're going through the motions, performing their routines, checking their boxes. But there's a vacancy in their eyes, an automation in their movements, as if they're characters in someone else's story rather than authors of their own. They wake up to an alarm they resent, drive to a job that doesn't inspire them, spend their hours doing work that doesn't reflect their deepest values, come home exhausted, numb themselves with entertainment, and go to bed knowing they'll do it all over again tomorrow. And the most heartbreaking part, many of them have been doing this for years, some for decades, without ever stopping to ask one simple question. Is this really my life, or am I living a life that was designed for me by others? Now, before you nod along thinking this applies to everyone except you, I want you to pause for a moment. Really pause. Ask yourself honestly, how many of your current life choices did you actually choose? Your career, did you select it because it genuinely called to something deep within you, or because it seemed practical, because your parents approved, because it paid well, because it was the path of least resistance? Your daily schedule, your habits, your routines, are they consciously designed to move you toward your dreams? Or are they just the accumulated defaults of years of unconscious living? The neighborhood you live in, the people you spend time with, the beliefs you hold about what's possible for you, did you choose these, or did they choose you? Here's what I've come to understand after years of observing human behavior: conformity is the path of least resistance. It's easier to follow the crowd than to chart your own course. It's safer to accept the script you've been handed than to write a new one. It's more comfortable to blend in than to stand out. And so the great majority of people, good people, intelligent people, capable people, simply drift along, following the river of cultural expectations, never questioning whether this river is taking them where they actually want to go. The crowd has tremendous power. It shapes how we think, what we believe is possible, and what we accept as normal. If everyone around you is settling for mediocrity, settling begins to look like wisdom. If everyone you know is trading their dreams for security, security becomes the highest virtue. If everyone in your circle is postponing their life until retirement, postponement seems perfectly reasonable. But here's the truth that those who achieve extraordinary lives understand: the crowd is almost always wrong. Not because people are foolish, but because most people haven't done the difficult work of thinking through what they actually want. They've accepted pre-packaged definitions of success without examining whether those definitions align with their authentic selves. Think of it this way. Imagine you're at a train station and you see a train pulling up to the platform. Everyone around you starts boarding, so you board too. The doors close, the train pulls away, and only then do you think to ask, where is this train going? That's how most people live their entire lives. They get on trains, career trains, relationship trains, lifestyle trains, simply because that's where everyone else is going, without ever checking the destination. Now here's the wonderful news, the part that should fill you with hope. You can wake up. Right now, today, this very moment, you can open your eyes and ask yourself, am I living my life, or am I living a life that was prescribed for me? And once you ask that question, truly ask it, you can begin to make different choices. You don't have to follow the crowd. You don't have to accept the default settings. You can step off the train that's heading somewhere you don't want to go, and you can chart a course towards something that actually matters to you. Yes, it requires courage. Yes, people might question your choices. But living consciously, living deliberately, living authentically, that's what transforms existence into a life worth living. Success is progressive realization. There's a lie that's been told so often, so convincingly, that most people accept it as gospel truth. It's the lie that success is a destination, some distant mountaintop you'll reach someday if you work hard enough, sacrifice enough, struggle enough. And until you plant your flag on that summit, until you achieve that big goal, you're not successful. You're just trying, striving, failing really because you haven't arrived yet. This lie destroys more dreams than laziness ever could. Because if success is only that moment of arrival, then what are you during all those years of effort? What are you during the months of learning, the days of practice, the hours of incremental progress? According to this cruel definition, you're a failure right up until the moment you succeed. And for most people, that's simply too discouraging to bear. So let me stop you right here and give you a moment to consider something different. What if everything you've been told about success is backwards? What if the whole framework is wrong? I spent years studying successful people, truly successful people, not just those with money or fame, but people who felt fulfilled, who went to bed satisfied and woke up energized. And I discovered something remarkable. They didn't wait to feel successful. They felt successful while they were building, while they were growing, while they were moving toward their goals. The destination wasn't what made them successful. The journey did. Let me give you the definition of success that changed my life, and I hope it changes your. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Read that again. Progressive realization. Not achievement, not arrival, not completion. Progressive realization. What does this mean in practical terms? It means that if you're a writer working on your first novel, you're not unsuccessful until that novel is published and becomes a bestseller. You're successful right now, today, as you write that next paragraph. If you're building a business, you're not unsuccessful until you hit $1 million in revenue. You're successful the moment you make that first sale, develop that first system, serve that first customer with excellence. You see, success isn't something you pursue and finally catch after years of exhausting chase. Success is something you become as you grow toward a goal that matters to you. It's not about the trophy at the end. It's about who you're becoming along the way. Think about a farmer planting seeds in the spring. Is he unsuccessful all through the summer just because he hasn't yet harvested his crop? Of course not. He's successful the moment he commits to planting. He's successful as he tends his fields. He's successful as he watches the first green shoots push through the soil. The harvest is simply the natural result of months of successful action. The same is true for you. If you have a worthy goal, something that genuinely matters to you, something that requires you to grow, to stretch, to become more than you currently are, and if you're taking action toward that goal, then you are successful. Right now, today, not someday. Now, here's why this understanding is so powerful. It removes the burden of perfection. You don't have to be great to start. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to wait until you're ready, or until conditions are perfect. You simply need a worthy goal and the courage to take the next step toward it. Every step forward is success. Every lesson learned is success. Every obstacle overcome is success. Every day you show up and do the work is success. Because success isn't a point in time. It's a direction, it's a way of living. And this realization, this simple shift in perspective, liberates you from the tyranny of not there yet. You stop postponing your satisfaction until some future achievement. You stop feeling like a failure because you haven't reached the summit. You recognize that you're successful right now, in this moment, because you're on the path. You're moving, you're growing, you're becoming. That's what success really is, and you can claim it today. Your mind is a garden. here's something that will disturb you if you really think about it right now. At this very moment, there are thoughts growing in your mind that you didn't consciously plant there. Ideas about who you are, what you're capable of, what you deserve, what's possible for someone like you. And most of these thoughts weren't chosen by you. They were planted by others. By your parents, perhaps with the best intentions. By teachers who didn't know any better. By friends, by television, by random voices you've encountered throughout your life. And these thoughts, these seeds that others planted, are growing into beliefs that are shaping your entire existence. The truly troubling part: most people go their whole lives without ever examining what's growing in the garden of their mind. They simply accept whatever sprouts up. If weeds of doubt grow, they accept doubt. If thorns of fear take root, they accept fear. If poisonous vines of limitation spread across their consciousness, they accept limitation. They never stop to ask, did I plant this? Is this what I want growing here? But let me ask you to stop right here and consider something crucial. When was the last time you deliberately chose what to think about? When was the last time you consciously selected the ideas you would allow into your mind? For most people, the answer is never. The mind is left unattended, and whatever blows in on the wind of circumstance is allowed to take root and grow. Now, let me tell you what I've discovered through years of studying how the human mind works. Your mind operates exactly like a garden. And just like a garden, it's going to produce something whether you tend it or not. The question is never, will something grow? The question is always, what will grow? You see, a garden doesn't care what you plant. It doesn't judge. It doesn't evaluate whether the seeds are good or bad. A garden simply takes whatever seeds are planted and grows them with absolute impartiality. Plant tomatoes, you get tomatoes. Plant weeds, you get weeds. Plant nothing, and the weeds grow anyway, because nature abhors a vacuum. Your mind works the same way. It will take whatever thoughts you plant, or whatever thoughts randomly fall into it, and it will grow them into your reality. Feed your mind thoughts of inadequacy, and you'll grow a life of limitation. Feed your mind thoughts of possibility, and you'll grow a life of achievement. Feed your mind nothing but entertainment and distraction, and you'll grow a life of emptiness. Here's the critical insight: your mind cannot tell the difference between a thought you deliberately planted and a thought that just wandered in. It grows them all with equal vigor. That's why people who constantly consume negative news become anxious. That's why people who surround themselves with complainers become bitter. That's why people who feed on gossip become small-minded. They're not choosing these outcomes. They're simply harvesting what they've allowed to be planted. But, and here's where everything changes, once you understand this principle, you gain incredible power. Because if your mind is a garden, then you can become the gardener. You can choose what gets planted. You can pull out the weeds. You can cultivate the good and starve the bad. This means you can be ruthlessly selective about what you allow into your consciousness. That conversation that fills you with doubt, you can walk away from it. That television program that makes you feel cynical and hopeless, you can turn it off. Those people who constantly reinforce your limitations, you can spend less time with them. Not because you're running away, but because you're protecting the garden of your mind. And instead, you can deliberately plant seeds of growth. You can read books that expand your thinking. You can listen to ideas that challenge you. You can surround yourself with people who believe in possibility. You can feed your mind every single day with thoughts that align with the life you want to create. Here's the beautiful truth that makes all of this worthwhile. When you take control of your mental garden, when you become conscious and deliberate about what you plant there, your whole life begins to change. Because you don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And what you are is determined by what grows in the garden of your mind. So tend your garden, guard it, cultivate it with care, because the harvest of your life depends on it. Action cures fear. You know what keeps most people trapped in lives they don't want. It's not lack of opportunity. It's not lack of intelligence or talent or resources. It's something far more insidious than that. It's the paralysis that comes from overthinking. The endless loop of analysis, planning, preparing, and waiting to feel ready. They tell themselves they need more information, more certainty, more clarity before they can move forward. But here's the terrifying truth: that readiness they're waiting for never comes. Never. And while they're waiting, while they're thinking and planning and preparing, Their dreams are dying a slow, quiet death. I've watched it happen countless times. People with brilliant ideas who never start because they can't guarantee success. People with deep talents who never share them because they're afraid of criticism. People who know exactly what they need to do to change their lives, but they don't do it because they're waiting to feel confident first. And year after year passes, and they're still waiting, still preparing, still trapped in the same life they desperately want to escape. So let me ask you something, and I want you to really sit with this question. What have you been putting off? What action have you been avoiding because you're afraid? Afraid of failing, afraid of looking foolish, afraid of being rejected, afraid of discovering you're not good enough. Think about it honestly. What's the one thing you know you should do, but you keep finding reasons not to do it? Now here's what I've learned, and this might be the most important thing I can share with you today. Fear doesn't disappear when you think about it more. It doesn't evaporate when you analyze it. It doesn't shrink when you make more detailed plans. In fact, the opposite happens. The more you think about doing something without actually doing it, the larger and more terrifying it becomes in your mind. But, and this is absolutely critical, fear does disappear when you take action, not before, after. You don't act because you're confident. You become confident because you act. Let me put it another way, you can't think your way out of fear. You can only act your way out of it. It's like standing on the edge of a cold swimming pool on a hot summer day. You can stand there analyzing the temperature, planning your entry strategy, psyching yourself up, and the longer you stand there, the harder it becomes to jump in. But the moment you jump, the moment you take that action, the fear vanishes. Suddenly you're in the water, and it's not nearly as bad as you imagined. Every successful person I've ever studied has understood this principle. They didn't wait until they felt ready. They didn't postpone action until fear disappeared. They acted in spite of the fear and discovered that action itself was the antidote. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. You could read every book ever written about balance and momentum. You could watch videos. You could study the physics. But none of that would teach you to ride. The only way to learn is to get on the bicycle and start pedaling. You'll wobble. You might fall. But with each attempt, you get better. The fear diminishes. The confidence grows. Not because you thought about it more, but because you did it. Here's the magnificent truth that changes everything. Action creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence, and confidence makes the next action easier. It's a virtuous cycle. But it only starts when you move, when you do something, when you take that first imperfect, uncertain step. And here's what happens when you start taking action. You discover that most of your fears were phantoms. The terrible outcomes you imagined don't materialize. The criticism you dreaded either doesn't come or doesn't hurt as much as you thought. The failure you feared teaches you something valuable. The action you took, even if it didn't produce the exact result you wanted, moved you forward and gave you information and experience you didn't have before. So here's what I want you to understand deep in your bones. The regret of inaction is far more painful than the temporary discomfort of action. People don't regret the things they tried and failed at. They regret the things they never attempted. They regret the chances they didn't take. They regret the person they never became because fear kept them frozen. You don't need to eliminate fear before you act. You just need to act despite it. And when you do, when you take that call, have that conversation, submit that application, start that project, take that risk, you'll discover something wonderful. You're braver than you thought. You're more capable than you believed. And fear, that thing that seems so powerful, loses its grip on you. Action is the cure, always has been, always will be. Here's what I want you to do as soon as this message ends. Take out a piece of paper and write down your answer to this question. If I could not fail, what would I attempt to do with my life? Write it down. Don't censor yourself. Don't let practical considerations silence the voice of your authentic ambition. Just write. Then, underneath that, write one action, just one, that you can take within the next 24 hours that will move you toward that vision. Not next week. Not when you feel ready, within 24 hours. It could be making a phone call, researching a class, having a difficult conversation, starting a practice, or simply clearing space in your schedule. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be real. Then, and this is the most important part, do it. Take that action. Prove to yourself that you're serious about living the one life you've been given. Because here's what I've learned: the universe rewards action. When you take one genuine step toward your dreams, the path becomes clearer. Opportunities appear. Help arrives from unexpected quarters. But none of that happens while you're sitting still. You are not here by accident. Your life has meaning. Your dreams have purpose. But they won't fulfill themselves. You have to claim them. You have to fight for them. You have to believe you're worth the effort. And you are. So stop wasting the only life you'll ever get. Stop waiting for permission that will never come. Stop letting fear write the story of your days. Start now. Start today. Start with one small step that says, I matter, my dreams matter, and I refuse to reach the end of my life with my song still inside me. The choice is yours. It always has been. Make it count. This is your life. Live it deliberately. Live it purposefully. Live it fully. The time is now.